everyone, and welcome to Funday Monday number 18. I really don't know what to call this craft because it's not like we're actually making anything from scratch. We're actually just taking an actual already made product and just kind of giving it a different look. So I think we're going to just call this a blanket with a touch of love. As you can see, you are getting a little bit of a sneak peek at more of my craft studio. So don't look too closely because I do want you to enjoy it when we get to the tour of it at the end of the yarn wall voyage. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our blanket. We're only going to do one for this tutorial. So I'm just going to take one of the blankets and put it back here on the couch. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, this is just, one of those fluffy blankets that you can get from Walmart or pretty much any store that sells blankets. We don't need all this trash, so I'm going to move it out the way. All right. Now, you can go into the craft department even, and they sell this type of fleece-like material. And there is a tag here, so I can tell you exactly what this is. Okay, so it's 100% polyester. And it doesn't have a border on it when you purchase it out of the craft department. So since this one has a border on it, we're just going to use a little stitch ripper. And I apologize, I keep looking over there because I can see myself on the computer, making sure that you can see everything. And that was the point, was to be able to give you a full view of the table while we were doing this today. So I will try to remember to look directly at you and not at myself. All right, I'm going to take my eyeballs off. And I am just going to work on actually just kind of taking this border off. So I'm just going to pull these stitches out. So if you have a piece of material and it does not have a border sewn on it like this, then you can just fast forward through all of this. I am not going to stay on video the whole time I'm ripping this out. I will not do that to you. But I just want to show you how I'm just using that stitch ripper to pull it away from the blanket. So we'll just do a little bit more together so you can see it. And again, these blankets my husband actually found when he was in Walmart by himself and he had gone to the clearance aisle. We love the clearance aisle. And he found these blankets on sale for $5. He got me 3 of them. And of course, they're normally like around $9.99. So they were almost 50% off. And he has seen me do this before. And so that was very sweet of him to surprise me with them. And I thought, well, before I do what I do with them, why not do it with you guys? And then while I was on vacation in Virginia, I found another one that had never been out of the wrapper, and actually found it in an antique mall store, and it has butterflies on it. And if you know anything about me, I mean, looking at my curtains and all, I like butterflies. Looking at my channel logo, it has a butterfly on it, or one of them does. So as you can see, all I'm doing is ripping those stitches to separate the polyester from the border. So if you have a border like I do, go ahead and finish taking it off all the way around. And if you don't, again, you can just fast forward through all of this and we'll meet up together, and then I'm going to show you what to do. All right. So I decided to bring you a little closer so that you could actually see what I'm doing. And I am literally just ripping the stitches out from this border to pull it away, and this way you could see it up close rather than across the table. But just ever so slightly removing it from the blanket. And you'll understand why when we actually make the adjustment to the blanket, because if we had left this border on, then what we're going to do would end up fraying the material, and through just everyday use with the child, washing multiple times, it would just really begin to look just really ratty and yucky. So that is why we are removing it. And I could have done this ahead of time, but if you had a blanket and it had a border on it, it will be easier for you to see how to remove it if I am showing you. So I am going to pause this and finish going around the rest of the blanket, just removing it so we have this nice clean edge to the blanket. And I will meet back up with you after I finish removing this entire border from the blanket. And I just go along popping those stitches for a good way, so then I have the satisfaction of pulling it out easier in clumps and having a lot more progress. All right, well, I will meet up with you when I finish going around the entire blanket and removing this blue border. So here we are. We have the border completely off. I'm just kind of turning and showing you, which, I mean, I can do this, but just showing you that it's completely off the blanket. So we are now ready to start our project. However, oh, this blanket's so nice and soft. Before we start, I was noticing on the butterfly blanket that I bought that it has an entirely different border. So I thought before we start our project, we will go ahead and take a look at this blanket in case the blanket that you have, oh, these blankets are so nice and soft. Pretty, pretty butterflies. I know this probably should be for my grandbaby, but this is actually for my studio, this one, to go with my butterfly theme in here, because I don't really have a blanket. I mean, I have one on the back of the couch that is a polyester blanket like this, but I actually use it when I'm sitting in the living room. It's just in here right now for decoration, but when I am in here crocheting, watching TV, whoops, sorry about hitting the camera, I will now have my own personal blanket for in here, butterflies. And so with a border like this, it is literally just simply, I don't know if you can see that, more like just embroidery thread going around it. So we're just going to simply, carefully come in here and cut it. And this one should be fairly easy, especially once you kind of get a piece going. I say that, but I'm on camera, so it's not going to go easily. And you can get your darning needle and use it to help pull that thread out if needed. But once we get it going, let me see if I can just cut a couple more of these to help loosen it up. Looks like it's kind of knotted right here. That seems to be the hold up. Just that one piece seems to have worked its way into a knot, which it's all a teachable moment. There we go. All right. So now, let's see if we can get this going. Because it's going to be just a matter of just pulling and working. And you can actually get, like I said, a crochet hook or a darning needle. I have my handy little tool basket here. Get a yarning needle. I wonder, this might be too big. Got a little knitting needle here. But all you need is something to just kind of work those stitches out. But once you get it going like that, it should be fairly easy. And just like the other one, I mean, it's just a little time consuming. So if you don't want to, I mean, if you can find a pattern that you really like in the craft section that doesn't have the border on it, so be it. But I'm just showing you, in case you ever buy the blankets like I did, how to take them apart and get them ready for what we're going to do. So I'm just going to work this border off of this one as well and finish it up, and then I will come back in just a minute and I will show you what we're going to do with these blankets to make them really cute and really special. Might help if I pull the right strand. Uh-oh. It's actually caught on the fiber of the blanket, and that does happen because it is fuzzy and you know, the polyester. So that continues. Just go ahead and cut. We're not preserving anything. and just start again. There we go. Get my little knitting needle here. My little bamboo knitting needle is what I'm using. But like I said, you can use a crochet hook. You can use a darning needle. Anything that just helps you pull that embroidery thread. Because that's all this is embroidery thread. Which is funny because there are times that I have done something like this. I would buy the material like this, and I would actually hand sew borders on it like this. But that was all before my friend that I was telling you about the other night that introduced this to me passed away, showed me this cute little trick that I'm going to pass on to you. All right, so I'm not going to have you sit here on the camera with me while I pull this out. Hopefully all the teachable moments have happened, and if not, well, then I'll just come back on and show you. But we'll be right back in just a minute to see what we're actually going to finally do with the polyester part of the blanket to make it special. And clearly I am struggling just a little. Oh, I see. That had to come out first, so that makes a big difference. So now we're on the roll again. Okay, just got to pull it. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, moving along now. Okay, so we'll get all of our blankets debordered and they'll be ready to go. I will meet back up with you in just a minute. So here is this blanket, and you can see that I have removed all of that embroidered border. Now I'm going to take this blanket and actually put it aside, because we're not going to do to this blanket what we're doing to the other ones, because I'm going to put this blanket aside and we are going to do another project with it on another Funday Monday. Once I get the yarn in that I have ordered to do something special with this one, because we're going to create a crocheted embroidered border around this one. So another project, another day. All right, so we're going to get this one back. I am going to adjust the camera so you can see the whole table again, and we will get started finally on what we're going to do to make this blanket a little bit more special. All right, so we're just going to lay our blanket flat, grab our scissors, and then we are going to just start cutting and making some small strips. And I'm going to pause the video for just a minute so I can grab the camera and bring you a little bit closer so you can actually see what I am doing. So all I'm doing is just cutting small little strips. And we're going to do this all the way around the blanket. So that's all we're doing, is we're just cutting small little strips. And actually, I think I'm going to cut those a little bit longer. So I'm probably counting. I am probably cutting these about 1.5 to 2 inches long, just so you have an idea. So, trying to hold that so you can see. And because you are cutting it, you are going to get a little bit of kind of a fleece mess. I have a trash can right down here beside me, so I'm just going to push that off the table right into it so it makes the cleanup easy, and I can do it as I go along. No real method. I'm just literally cutting strips. So I know you may have some concern. What is that going to do to the blanket if it's making that little bit of a mess while we're cutting? It's just because we are cutting the fabric. So it's going to have some pieces that are going to come off. But I promise when we're done, it's not going to continue to split or anything else across the whole blanket when we're done, because of the technique of what we're going to do with it. I did make a couple of these blankets after my friend taught me, and Miss Ann had made several of these blankets as well, and I still know the families of the blankets that I had made in the past, and they are still using them. Yes, you know, after years of washing, like any blanket, you know, they start showing their wear and tear, but what we're doing did not affect the blanket in any way or lessen the lifespan of it. And you'll see what I mean when I show you what we're going to actually do with these strips after we've cut them. So I'm going to keep working around the entire blanket, cutting these strips. And if you'll do the same, I will meet up with you when we get back to the very beginning. Now, when you come around to the corner, I will come back on just to show you how I go around the corner. It's really pretty much the same way that I'm going around the blanket, but just so you have that visual. So I'm coming around to the corner here. So I'm just going to keep doing to it as I have been on the sides. So just because it's the corner doesn't really change anything, except you do want to kind of change your angle up a little bit eventually. so that as you come around, you can start. Let's see, that's the last piece I just cut. Going straight again. So I'm going to kind of make this piece a little bit wider than the others so I can start coming straight again. But I do want to be careful and make sure that I'm leaving a good base, that it's not real thin, because then it could possibly, you know, get worn down a little bit and start stretching, and you don't want that. So you just have to be really careful about that. And then you're just going to continue cutting your strips as you have been all along that one side. And then you're just going to keep cutting. So go ahead and complete going around the entire blanket, and I will meet back up with you once we have all of our strips cut. So we have completed all of our ends. Sorry about my camera cord there, but just trying to help you take a look. All the ends are done over here. Hopefully you can see all that. But this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to come to the corner, and I'm going to kind of start there and grab 4 pieces to be my corner. And then we're going to take these, and we're literally going to just simply, let me get you on camera. So come back. I'm going to grab 4 pieces to be my corner. This is the actual corner of my blanket. So I'm going to grab these 4 to be my corner. And we are literally just going to knot them. That's all we're going to do. And pull it tight. And we are going to literally just walk all the way around the blanket and knot them down tight. You grab the next 2. And the longer your strips are, the better they will look. Now see, those are not as long as the other ones are, so let's see if I can successfully get this knot out, because usually once the knot is in there, it's kind of hard to pull out. And I'm going to cut those a little bit longer, and I think I managed to do it. Yay! I got fluff everywhere. Maybe I should put part of the tools needed as a vacuum cleaner, because you're definitely going to need a vacuum cleaner when you're done. And I'm just going to cut these a little bit longer. And I think that gets it up to where I started cutting them a little bit longer. All right. And then we're just going to come back, and I am just simply knotting them. And I'm using 2 new strands with each knot. The only instance where you would use a strand that has already been knotted is when you get to the very end and you don't have an even amount and you don't have enough. And then, only then on the corner would you use one that's already been done. And so right now that's all we're doing, is we're just literally walking around the blanket and knotting the 2 strands together. So go ahead and do that for your blanket, and I will meet you up at the end. The corners, you're going to do them just like you do, going around the side of the blanket, just like I did at the beginning. Of course, at the beginning I selected which 4 I wanted to be my corner. You're just going to keep walking around and grabbing the next 2 strips and knotting them. So continue doing that, and I will meet up with you when you get to the end of your blanket and have knotted the last 2 strips. And when you're done, this is what your blanket looks like. You have this cute little border going around it. And if it's kind of bunched up a little bit, just kind of take the material, because it does stretch, and just pull it apart till it opens up. And then you have this cute little border all the way around your blanket. So I will spread this out and take a picture of it in full view so you can see it completely opened up with the border going completely around it. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. If so, please be sure and give it a thumbs up. If you have not already done so, please hit subscribe and ring the bell so you receive all notifications. And I will see you next Monday for our next Funday Monday session.